I'm not going to sell something that I
You
can't
don't
say
like.
is the best thing that you're ever going to eat. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
that's me. But there are a lot of people that sell gluten-free cookies and gluten-free muffins and whatever else
Hmm.
gluten-free. So, certainly if you wanted to stab that genre, you would do well because there are a lot of people looking for that stuff that isn't mass
Right.
produced.
Welcome to the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz podcast, the show for makers, bakers, and food creators ready to turn their kitchen skills into real income without all the overwhelm. We're your hosts, Andrea and Patty, the Grazing Biz Sisters, a professionally trained chef and a multi-million dollar marketing strategist with over 60 years combined experience helping entrepreneurs start, price, market, and grow profitable food businesses. Whether it's a side hustle or a full-time dream, you're in the right place. Now let's start the show. Hey, 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 welcome back to the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz. How you are, sister? What up over there?
I'm, well, I'm okay. I went to San Diego last week and of course I have to come home with some sickness, so I'm getting over a cold today. So if I sound a little rough around
Time
the
you
edges,
travel, you seem
reason
like you
why.
come back sick. Yeah. Every time you
Yeah, I
travel,
can't be around people. I work from home, so I'm never around people except
good
for my
call.
grandson. And then
Yeah.
when I am around people, it is inevitable. Every time I do a show, I don't want to, turn people off of that, but you're around people. So if you work from home like
Yeah.
I do and like you do, the minute you get around people, the next
Yeah.
thing I know, I got a cold.
It is true. Well, you have to start wearing a gas mask when you go.
I know, right?
Oh,
After
that'll be
2 years
attractive.
or 3 years of wearing masks, and people still walk around with those on. If I have
Uh,
to cough or something here in between, everybody
just
pardon
put
me.
us on mute. Yeah, just put it on mute.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I'm
I'll
glad
try
you made it
to.
home okay. You had a long
Yeah.
weekend, and your daughter was in town, your grandbabies, and they were so
Yeah, it's
cute. We
spring
got to see
break.
them. We had a nice little catch up with them this week, so they're so cute. Well,
Hmm.
let's see. So today we're going to talk about something that we kind of alluded to last podcast, and you might want to go back to listen to that one too. We were talking about how to stand out at the markets and how to sell more at the markets or maybe your farm stand. But one of the things that we talked about that I thought was just like a really hit home run idea was what else, what can you do that helps you to stand out and maybe come up with something more signature that you can sell. So let's say you are, making sourdough, but you're just like every other sourdough vendor out there. How can we
Hmm.
make you, stand out with your sourdough products? And so, kind of an idea. But we're gonna go through a bunch of ideas. And so, whether you're selling baked goods or canned goods or charcuterie, because you can get away with that, or you've got your kitchen set up, but you're competing with other charcuterie vendors in town. What can you do to stand out, and be just different so that when people do see you, you're
Hmm.
known for that. So kind of, that signature term, like what is it you're known for? Because
Yeah.
I think that's really the thing that if you can, like you are, everybody knows you're the dried soup queen of the
I know, I
neighborhood,
get that dry soup, dry soup lady or whatever it was they were calling me at the last event I
Hey,
was
yeah, we
at.
ought to dried soup lady. Maybe we should come up with a good name for you, which, by the way, is a good branding idea. Is that whatever? Not that that's it, but
Yeah.
once you figure out what that signature thing is, and what makes you stand out, so that people will take a double take, right? Either on if they're out, they see your website, or you're at an event or wherever, that people see you and go, wow, what a great idea. If you hear that, by the way, what a great idea, then you stand out because you're not like everybody else, right?
Yeah. Right.
So let's come up with some ideas. We do have a little list here, and so
Yeah.
one of the first things is, when we go back and think about what you were doing last week at your event here, your things that stood out were, weirdly enough, keychains. It's not really food related, but they were keychains, and so if God, I was just saying everything. How could you turn that into a food related item for the people on the podcast today? So
You
not
mean
that.
like the keychains or
Yeah,
just
something
anything?
along the
Or
lines of those keychains that caught the eye because you're selling something that is bringing people to
right.
you. And what was good about that is that it was cheaper. For those of you, again, go back and listen to the number 40 podcast. We were talking about how lower priced items, let's say you are selling your bread for $20 a loaf. I actually don't know what you would sell sourdough for. I'm starting to make it. I should probably know, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to plan to sell it. It's too much work for me. But if you sold it for $20, but maybe people just aren't into spending $20 on a loaf, but yet they would buy something else. What else could you
Right.
sell? So anyway, I'm kind of thinking along those lines too. Well, maybe what you could do is do a build your own kit, or you create your own sourdough kit at home.
Yeah. Hmm.
So people could have that at-home experience, like a pre-packaged, kind of what you're doing with your soup. They can just go home and do it, build it out, make it their own, but that's real easy. But this is kind of a creative thing where they could learn to do it themselves. I've heard, at least with regard to sourdough, for instance, that you can actually freeze your sourdough starter and
Hmm.
then somehow turn it into a powder and then sell the starter that way, I think. Now, again,
I
that's like
haven't
ideas, what I'm talking
necessarily,
about.
yeah, I haven't heard that. That's an interesting whole
Yeah.
scenario. I could see how that might work. But I would say that I have seen people at various, because we can do that here in Arizona. I have seen people sell just the starter in a jar.
Jar.
Um, and then I've
Yeah.
also seen where people have a starter mix because it's basically the mix of sugar, sugar, water, whatever, flour, and that's how your starter gets started. And they
Hmm.
sell it just in a bag, and then
Right.
you take it home and you mix it with whatever you got to mix it with to make the starter dough, and then that sits for 2 weeks or whatever. I don't even
Right.
know.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
a sourdough queen, so
That
I
I
don't
do
know the
know.
scenario. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, the you see what I'm saying? Like they put the
Yeah.
mix all ready together, so you're just throwing it all in a bowl or whatever you're doing, and
Right.
then mixing it with the water, and that makes it easy. And I actually have seen that like in places like Williams Sonoma and Sur La Table. Those are like kitchen cooking stores. They actually have them
Hmm.
in there too. So that's another a thought if you're a baker and you want to,
Put
you
together
want
a
to get
kit.
your something that will, and make it look really, brand worthy, like make it look cooler than like the kit you would buy at Williams Sonoma.
What you want to do though, my idea for the kits is you're going to come up with a kit, whatever it is that you like to create. Doesn't matter what it is,
Hmm.
that you could create them for special events. So, for instance, maybe a girls' night or a bachelorette party, or even people that are like, we live in a vacation destination location where we could have these kits made that the people could buy these things and have them in their vacation Airbnb, something that can be pre-built that you can sell and say, oh, you've got guests coming in, come on in here and get these things. So any kind of like build your own kit, whatever it
Yeah.
is. So, or even
Yeah.
date nights, parties, team building events, and then you brand it with that. So that goes along with the sticker or whatever it is you want to do, is just have it branded for that. And of course, if it's a girls thing, have more of a girls theme to whatever, or a guy thing. I don't
Hmm.
see guys really doing
I
this
don't either,
necessarily,
but
but they like,
you never know. I
it's
don't.
football night on Monday. Let's
Let's
all
make cookies or something. I
let's
don't
get
know. Yeah.
together all and learn how to make some wings.
Although I did see, which I found hard to believe, just a side note, they're talking about millennials and the younger kids now that are born after 2000s, and they don't want to drink. They don't want to drink and whoop it up the same way that we all did in the past. We were just wasted messes when we were that age. And they don't do
Yeah,
that. They don't do
yeah,
that. They
good.
go
I
out and they
know,
do other things, and that's great. And that's another
really good.
attractive thing that they might do, like cooking classes or whatever, charcuterie classes. And,
Right.
that's the kind of stuff that they like to do, and they don't like to sit around and drink. So good for them. I mean,
Well, and I
it's
think on
interesting.
that note, it would be good to hook up with places that do set up kind of party type events. So maybe it's
Mhm.
what is that that room where you get locked in and you have to come up with a come up, get out of the room. What are those things
Oh
called? Because
yeah,
I
I know what
can't
you're talking
stand.
about. It's
I
like
get claustrophobic
I
thinking
could
about it,
never
but
do that.
I
I'm not claustrophobic, but why would I pay to have somebody
to
lock
get
me in a
locked
room?
up.
And yeah,
Yeah,
no
it's not.
thanks. But I
But
know
that
that that's a
said,
bit mystery room or whatever it is they call it. They have
yeah.
those everywhere. In fact, they had one in Catalina when we went to Catalina Island. They had one there, which I thought was weird. I'm like, so I'm not quite sure that Catalina Island, I would come all the way over here and then lock myself in a room and be scared to death. Like, no, hard
Well,
pass.
it's not so
But
much
people like that
scary.
stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it's like just solving,
yeah.
things to get out. But I guess if you could hook up with those kind of event places, even like the golf hitting places where you can go in and
Hmm.
hit golf balls inside, and there's so many, putting places, and you come up
Yeah.
with something that you could create a gift box for. Where somebody could have that, right? So they could go and maybe do the team building thing in that, because that's all
Yeah,
part of a
yeah.
lot of times, so that's an idea, I would think. But whatever it is you're making, not that we're telling you to go make new things unless you want to, but try to figure out how can you turn that into a gift box, for an at-home experience, which I think would be a really good idea. um,
Hmm.
how about something that does add more perceived value to whatever it is you're doing, to a theme? Like you can add a theme to whatever it is. So we have Mother's Day coming up. Any kind of theme that's related to Mother's Day or Easter. Obviously, just trying to make your product more specific to holidays, or any kind of theme, like a wedding.
Hmm.
I saw the cutest thing yesterday or this morning where they were decorating up the little cake balls and they put them on these little teeny hats. So, but they made these little cake balls, and those were in place instead of using cupcakes at a wedding. They took the cake balls, decorated each one of them up really beautifully, and there was a bunch of different colors of different cake balls with little designs on them, and they were sitting on these little teeny hat plates that were so cute. And they just had them all on the table so that the person could come up and pick one of those off of there. So
Okay.
anyway, something that would add value more than a cheesy old cake ball, right? And then let's see, what else are we talking about? So cheer up boxes, any kind of box that, you could come up with ideas for that.
Yeah,
Let's
just to fill
see.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as the charcuterie standouts would be, maybe you come up obviously with different kind of boards, and this is probably for most people that are doing boards or carts or anything, probably know all this stuff. But I think one of the things that might be really good would be, like a spicy board or a drink board. Like you've heard of them. What are they? I'm just
Oh,
having a
you
brain
have it on
fart.
this.
Brains moving.
The board flight. So like the flight thing, so
I
they
love that
normally would
idea.
do a bunch of drinks or something like that.
Right.
When I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, I was a food and beverage director there. We did a thing that it was like a ski flight. So it was a ski that had built-in shot holders. And so essentially you could do the
Flight.
same concept, only you would do it with whatever it is you're selling, whether it be,
Yeah, charcuterie or bread or cupcakes, or
yeah,
you could have different
yeah.
flavors, which would be a really good idea. But where I was going was the drinks, the Bloody Mary type boards and things like that. So
Yeah.
those are kind of popular where you can load that stuff up too, or focus in on all gluten free, because some people really need that, or a
Hmm.
keto board or high protein,
Yeah, yeah.
or something that you can do that. When we were at your event a couple of weeks ago, I was walking around and somebody said, hey, they came up to some lady who was selling something and asked if they had anything that was all gluten free. And of course she didn't, and you got that question a lot.
I get that a lot. And I
Yeah,
mean, it is kind of, well, it's not scary. I mean, I tried to make some of my mixes, because I have baking mixes too for muffins and things. I tried to make them gluten free, and it's like eating cardboard. So I'm not going to sell something that I can't
don't
say
like.
is the best thing that you're ever going to eat. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
that's me. But there are a lot of people that sell gluten-free cookies and gluten-free muffins and whatever else
Mhm.
gluten-free. So, certainly if you wanted to stab that genre, you would do well because there are a lot of people looking for that stuff that isn't mass
Right.
produced.
Yeah, I
So,
think you have to be careful. Like I said, the reason I said scary was because if you really are going to claim it's gluten free, you could hurt somebody if it's really not fully,
if there's even
the
one little
environment where
bit
you're
in it,
cooking
yeah,
in. Exactly. It's like
right.
people that have peanut
Yeah.
allergies apparently can't even smell the peanut dust, so you don't want to make anybody
Mm-hmm.
ill. But you could say that it
Right.
was, you put a disclaimer obviously on your labels and things
Yeah.
like that. I think it'd be a good idea. So other ideas for this would be coming up with like a monthly subscription type where you can say every month you're going to get whatever it is you sell, breads, cookies, treats, seasonal
Yeah.
items, whatever it
Hmm. I
is.
know a lot of people that do that too, and you can see that online. A lot of people do that. So
Yeah, I think it's a
must do
great
well.
idea because it's recurring income. In fact, somebody in our software today said that the guy wanted she was creating a charcuterie something. I don't know if it was a gift box or whatever, because we had a few people in the group, so I didn't get a chance to really drill in with her. But she said that the guy wanted to pay monthly for a monthly subscription for the next 6 months. So I don't all know
Oh,
what
wow.
was involved with that, but it was related to her charcuterie cart. So
Hmm.
somehow I'm not exactly sure how she's working that out, but I thought it was pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the seasonal items, you could say for every holiday throughout the year, that would really get, because then you could always say, oh, I'm going to create your board for you. And if you just pay a flat rate every month, that you would get something every single month that's related to that holiday coming up. Because maybe they do a lot of entertaining, I don't
Well,
know.
and that's like with the real estate agents. I
Oh,
just think
yeah,
real estate agents, as you would know, are prime for that kind of
right.
stuff because they're always looking for something different rather than giving away like a knife set or something at a home closing.
Mm,
They're going to need to give, they always give something. They always give something, don't they? Always give something, whether it be a
right.
gift card or whatever it is. I know
Exactly.
that my daughter's she's a title broker and she gets gifts even from the real estate agents for the work that they do,
Mhm.
so the real estate agents are always handing out goodies all the
Well, yeah,
time
they're
to
trying to get
different people.
repeat and
Right.
referral business. And as you can tell, I actually have my real estate hat on today to cover up my lovely hairdo. But just for those of you who haven't heard me say this about umpteen times, the best opportunity you can have is to get repeat business from the real estate agents in the neighborhood. And at least in Arizona, and I know California does not allow this, but in
Mm.
Arizona, and I think in many other states, you have the ability to go into title companies and actually title companies, lenders, whoever it is that sponsors, well, at least the title companies. I heard the title companies in California won't allow that, but in Arizona you do. I could go into a title company and say I want to sponsor a class. And we have to have
Hmm.
every state does require continuing education. And so they have, in our case, we have 24 hours. So realistic 3 hours per class. So I have to get in there, if I can do my math, how many times 24, eight classes. So
Hmm.
I have to get in there and take these classes. Well, every time I go in, somebody is advertising something. And so they pay to be there. But what I recommend you do is get a hold of your local title just to start, or a local lender, and they also sponsor these classes because they want to
Yeah.
get the continued business from the real estate agent. So they'll
Right.
give you venues, and if there's classes going on, you can say, I want to sponsor it. And then what I'd recommend you do is go in and be prepared to do a raffle. So you can either do it the old fashioned way and grab business cards, or come to us and we'll help you electronically do this with QR codes. But you're basically like bring in a board or bring in something that you can raffle off, and then tell them what it is you offer. And depending on what you're selling, you could put baskets together, and what they want are closing gifts. A lot of people think, oh, they're going to do open houses, I'll go sit their open house. But nah, you're really not going to. Honestly, that's like the
Hmm.
worst, because there's not, unless they're expecting a massive amount of people at like a broker open. where all the brokers come to see it. That otherwise, just a standard everyday open house is really not going to be productive for you. And most agents won't pay for that. But I would pay for a really nice closing gift. Come to think of it, I got to create my board for my closing I had last month. I had a really big sale that closed. And so they're going to get a nice board from me, but they were moving in. So I was waiting for them to get in. But
Hmm.
you could totally do that. And then you just hook up with the agent pays for it, and whatever it is, just put together nice basket ideas. And you
Yeah.
can put, or depending on what you're selling, right? Put together a nice basket. Like in your case, I could get a whole basket if I wanted to, full of your dried soups, and I should
Hmm.
probably do that, Andrew. I don't know what I was thinking. I probably should
Yeah,
do that.
no, I've had that on
But
my list too to do bundles like that. I just, I got so many other things going on. But the more avenues that you have, the more you will the way that you'll figure out what your best avenue is. Like,
mhm,
there you need to have many different ways. So I've got Etsy, I've got online stores, I've got all these things going on, and then of course I'm in front of people on, a regular basis. So you just have to find out your way and
right.
what's going to work best for you and your product and your business.
Hey friends, it's Patty here. Before we get back into the episode, I've got something really tasty for you. If you're dreaming about starting or growing your home-based food or charcuterie business, we've put together a whole bundle of free resources just for you, including calculators, marketing guides, AI prompts, our free Facebook group, everything you need to get yourself up and running as fast as possible. Oh, and don't miss our free webinar training on how to launch your business the smart way. You can grab it all at grazingbiz.com/resources. That is grazingbiz.com/resources. Oh, and if you're loving the value we bring you each week, do me a huge favor. Make sure to follow the show, hit us up with a 5-star rating, and share this podcast with someone who needs a little nudge to start their own food business journey. Your thoughtful follow and ratings help move our little podcast up the ranks of podcast land and gives us even more incentive to keep providing you even more food business success tips, advice, and resources. Thanks so much. We appreciate you. Alrighty, let's dive back into the rest of the podcast. Right. And one that's not going to, first of all, you don't want to lose money on whatever you're going to
Right.
do to up
Right.
this ante. But I think what you always got to think about is like, how can you stand out amongst your competition?
Hmm.
Because like I said, everybody can create even I can make some sourdough bread now, but how am I going to stand out with the girl on the corner down there that's setting up every day? What do I
Right.
have that's different than her? And maybe I have different price ranges and different sizes and different things. And what did I make? What did I make this? Or last night I made a quick bread, cinnamon like quick bread with sourdough starter in it. So it was quick, fast. Didn't have to let it rise up 100 times over and all that like you normally do
Yeah,
when you make
yeah.
it. But um those kind of ideas like stand out, and like we talk about the cinnamon rolls all the time because
I don't know why
we
we're
grew
not
up.
doing it yet. Like,
I know. Well, the cinnamon roll, the sticky ones, the little sticky bun
yeah,
type that we like, we grew up on.
yeah.
Our mom
Love
would make. They
those.
were so delicious. Can't they got passed down from our grandmother, but so delicious. And
Hmm.
how's your fry? By the way, how's your fry bread mix doing? Because you sell fry bread, family fry bread mix that you put together. How
Yeah,
did
I
that
just
do last
started
weekend?
doing that last month or whenever that was. And I actually got, so, as I sell new products, I always tell people when they buy it, please get a
Test.
hold of me if you have time to let me know how it went. And I actually got a message from a lady last week that said, she goes, everything was perfect. And I said, because I had wrote her, I said, these were the instructions that I had. And I just basically wrote down exactly what I did to get to the point. And I'm always worried that people struggle with the instructions because with fry bread, it really needs
A
to be
little
like
in
pulled
depth.
versus rolled. But I did a rolled version to make it easier for everyone else, and I just wasn't sure how well my my procedures were getting across, and she wrote me back. I don't know where she was from, and she wrote me and said, I just want to let you know that it was delicious. Everything came out perfect. There was no adjustments needed. Because I
Nice.
was also concerned. I live at 5,500 feet, altitude wise. So I was a little bit worried that it might change as I went down to sea level. But she said, no, everything was great. It turned out fun. It turned out perfect. It was delicious. Everybody loved it. Da, 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 da.
Hmm.
So that's and have sold a lot, quite a few of them. In fact, I need to make some more for the next show that I have. So,
But that's a
you know,
fine example of
yeah,
I've seen you go to these markets and events and you see people that are selling the fry bread already fried and
right.
maybe you
Already
don't
made.
want it at that moment, but yeah, already made. So I've never seen anyone actually sell the pre-made kits, that you can just go home with the
Hmm.
instructions. The other thing to think about, if you to get back to the whole at home idea where you can create a box, I see nothing wrong with people like you creating a video that they can go to. And what's kind of good about doing that, if you do a video, you can put it on your website and then
Yeah,
you give them the link to the website so they can watch you actually do it. But what are you gaining out of that? Anybody who goes to your site is going to see other things you sell and also
right,
order more.
right,
So I would highly recommend you do. Again, we help with all of this stuff. Just we'll help you record, we'll help you do all that and get it onto a page if it's something you want to explore. But I
hmm,
driving people back to your site is also going to help you with what we call search engine optimization, which will get people to everybody who clicks on your site actually helps you move up the ranks of the search engines. So the more people click, the more these search engines realize that you have something that people want, and you're going to get moved up the ranks of, when somebody's looking for something similar to what you sell, it helps. It's not
right. And
guaranteed.
that has been on my list is to, when I was making the bread, I remember thinking to myself, I've got to get my recording back up and running. I've got a mess in there to make this all work out, but I was going to
Yeah,
record it, have the QR code for that particular recording on the website. So when they opened it, they would see me
be right
making the
there.
bread because I felt, and I still feel this way, even though I'm pretty articulate with my, my
You,
English and
you
writing and grammar. I just still felt like like it could have been better.
yeah,
And I went through and looked at a bunch of other different people's, not making fry bread, but just other people just doing their
how they
different
handling it.
mixes. And I'm like, this is as good as I can get. And I'm not real happy about it. But apparently it did work. But I think if I had a video of me making the bread, then it would
I think you
hit
should do that
home.
because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not a
I'm going to.
simple.
It's definitely,
Yeah,
it's not
and
an
then it's
easy
right
thing.
on.
Right. It's
It's
not
right
an
on your
easy thing.
site.
And then what I also thought was that I could show people how to do it the traditional way. If you really want to do it, here's the rolled version. And then the next little video would just be me pulling it. If you really want to do it traditionally, this is how you do
Yeah,
it.
right.
Uh, so they
Which I
both would
think
be in
is a
there.
and people will really connect with you that way too, which is so key,
Right.
no, at least your hands if you don't want to show your face, but I would definitely show your face so that people can remember you. Oh yeah, that's really her.
She
And
always tells me that, and I hate it.
yeah, I
You
know,
guys are
but
lucky I'm
you
even
did.
on the podcast.
I know. And today I was recording ads and like 1 minute ads today, and I had a hat on like this on one of them. I took the hat off, I changed my shirt, and I mean, I'm looking at myself, I'm like, you look hideous, but you know what? The people want to see you, and they don't care what you
Yeah,
look like. They don't. They're just happy, number one, because they're connecting with you. Number two, that they're actually getting something directly from you that's actually helpful, right? So I think there's so much to be said about that. And it's really quite easy, folks. It really is just
I
to
know.
record
I know it
yourself to do
is.
something.
It is.
So
It's really not that hard. And in
yeah,
this AI world that we're in, everything that you see, it makes you question whether or not it's real. And
right.
nowadays, I mean, now I feel like I'm not a professional AI, inspector, but so many
People
times
want
you can
that.
tell. I'm like, yeah, that's not real. It's not
Exactly.
even possible,
People
you know?
want that. Even I even get worried if I use my phone and maybe it's too full and it's starting to talk, and like you can, my lips aren't matching up, but I
You're
know
doing
that it's
the
real. And
Godzilla
then
thing. Yeah.
yeah, then right away you think, oh well, maybe it's fake, but no, you're. I'm trying so, and that's one of the reasons I don't care what my hair looks like. I don't care if I have a full head of makeup on or whatever, because the more natural you look these days, which is crazy. Uh,
Yeah.
Before we just wouldn't even consider getting on camera
Right.
without, at least for real estate for sure. But honestly, it's what they want to see.
Right.
And most of the people who are listening to this podcast, including you, friends out there, you have probably gotten here because somebody taught you how to make something on online. And
Mm-hmm.
did you care what they look like? Unless their hands were dirty or their nails are full of dirt, you know, you would that's
Gross.
what you remember. You'd
Can't even go
remember,
there.
you'd remember that and go, well, I
Yeah.
think that one's turned me off. But
Or what?
outside of
Or when I'm telling you, you see them like on YouTube or something. I've seen like where chefs have like nasty cuts on their hand, and it's always men. No offense, guys, but like don't do a video that week. If you have a cut
yeah,
on your
put a
hand,
glove
then you
on.
don't do one. Yeah, put gloves on. Don't do that,
Yeah,
please.
that's what
It's
I would
just
do.
gross.
Yeah,
But
if my
anyway,
nails were
I
bad, I
usually skip it.
definitely.
I when I was doing real videos all the time, like I was doing a lot of TikTok, and I have a lot of TikTok uh people following me. When I was doing it regularly, and if I cut my hand, I didn't do anything
Yeah,
that week.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, gloves are
anywho,
a
that's
cheap
besides the
thing.
point. But yeah, I mean, if you have ideas, all you can do is try them out and see how they go. And there's tons of ideas online. I mean, we could go down the list of,
Let's talk
what
about the one
people,
we just saw, the
you
one that
know.
we just saw with the apple and the dipped
Oh yeah,
dip
yeah.
sliced apple into
Mm-hmm.
waffle mix or a pancake mix, and then they stuck it on the.
Right.
It was covered up, and then they stuck it on the waffle maker. And oh my God, I got to try that.
Looks
I don't.
delicious.
It's
I'm just
really
also
good.
questioning with that one only, if your waffle maker, if it is, like you really have to press down hard to get that waffle in there. But I guess we'll find out because Patty said she's going to try it.
I'm
So
gonna
it
try it.
was a slice of waffle that was covered in
No,
pancake or
apple
waffle mix,
slice of
apple,
apple. Yeah.
and then covered in waffle mix, and then they put it in the waffle maker and smashed it down, like when people do that with potatoes and stuff nowadays. And I mean, it looked delicious. She said it to me. I'm like, oh damn, that looks really
Yeah,
good.
and they
But
drizzled
I
it.
don't.
You could. I was thinking you could drizzle like leave it on. They had it on a stick when they put it in there, and then took the stick off. But I thought leave it on the
Right,
stick because it was just a round thing.
I would have left
And
it
then
on
you
the
could
stick.
drizzle it with if you want to do. I wouldn't even use syrup honestly. I'd be drizzling it
Caramel.
because it's apple with caramel, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. A caramel drizzle. Oh my God. Anyway, and then we were just debating whether or not how that would wrap up if you had a business and you could just wrap it at home and then bring it to an event or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, you'd have to do it live out at the event, which would entail a few more things. But again, that's a whole different license probably to be doing that, depending on where you're at. But
Yeah.
anyway, another thing to consider is like creating stuff for corporate gifting, in which, corporate events and corporate gifting to the employees. They're always looking for something for high-end clients or even their own employees during particular times of year. And it's not just during Christmas time, but
Mm-hmm.
during those kind of holidays, they want to give gifts out. So you could put together a gift type, basket or whatever it is, or a gift for the corporate event type people. So again,
Right.
think outside the box. Is like if you think about a niche and focus in on that niche, then you market to that niche. And so somebody's going to be getting online going corporate gifts, food related gifts, food gifts for employees. Those kind of things are the things people are searching for. And that's when you want to show up. And I'll tell you, if you're living in a smaller town, you could just kill it. I mean, you'd knock it out of
Mm-hmm.
the park because at least where I live, our city's way too friggin' big, and I would be hard to get noticed unless I wanted to start running ads, which, by the way, is a whole other side of this, of running ads to your, things that you're promoting. That you want to sell, and honestly, it's cheaper than you think. It's not as hard as you think. If you all had an interest, I could even do a recording to show you how to set this up, but it's not that hard. And I say that, and then, but we also can help you with it. Again, you keep hearing me say that because we want you to come and let us help you because that's what we do. This whole
Yeah.
marketing side of it is, I know, the struggle. You just want to take care of your stuff and do your things at home and make your stuff, and that's really what you're good at. Don't kill yourself trying to figure out the rest of the marketing side of this, because you really can get this done affordably and help you grow your business more. So, definitely all of the things that and the ways that we help are in the show notes here, or wherever you're at watching this. Just go down below and click one of those links down there. We got free help, and we have paid help if you really want to go crazy and really get this off the ground. Andrew mentioned before we got on today that you were watching something on the news about how people are wanting to create things that are and sell things that are just fun. And I'm
Hmm.
100% on board with that, or that make you feel good. And most of what we
Yeah.
do creatively makes us feel good. Our
Hmm.
brains kick in these endorphins. It's like
Right.
I'm starting to do hand knitting, chunky hand knitting, and I'm like, give me something I can make, I can make, my house would be full, I mean, with stuff that I want to make. I can only have so
Well,
many
that's why I've got
blankets.
an entire craft room. I've got one room that's just
Yeah.
entirely dedicated to the different crafts that I have worked on over the years. And, I still will pull some of that stuff out and be like, how can I sell that? Now that I'm doing the selling full time at markets and things like that and online, I go in there and just go, what can I sell?
Yeah,
It's not that
exactly.
hard. Yeah,
Your
it's not that
creative
hard.
side kicks in because it feels good to you to do this, and
Right.
so why not
Hmm.
sell it? And for many of us, if we like decorating cupcakes or cakes, or doing, like, what is it, I always say etching, but I know I'm not right with the bread, with the sourdough, and you'll fill me in
Oh
when you.
yeah, like I know
Yeah.
what you're talking. The decorating of the bread or whatever when they do
Yeah,
the with the
I'm
razors and
having a
all that
brain fart.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
having a brain fart
Yeah.
on that,
I
but
don't I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know what it
there
is,
is,
but
because you talked about it before, but anyway, you get where I'm going with it. There's something just so pleasurable, and when you're thinking about what it is that you can sell, uh, think about only sell the things that make you happy, honestly, because otherwise it's going to be a chore. It's
yeah.
not, you're not going to want to keep doing it for
Right,
sure.
right.
So,
Yeah.
but I think other ways to approach this is also, what can you do that will stand out? Maybe you can be one of those people that is express same day type menu, where you have, they come to your site today or they get a hold of you, you say, well, I can perform within a few hours and get you what you want. I can make it if you have the ability to do that. Or you could have a different day of the week menu so that everybody knows Monday is, cupcake day, and Tuesday's cookie day, and whatever. And
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, yeah.
and people know, I just get over there and make sure I order from you on those particular days. So that's also standoutish, because you're not doing the same thing every day. Or the cake of the week or something along those lines, I think would be pretty easy to do, right? Um, but I think what the big key here is that, people don't refer what's normal, don't refer to what's normal. They refer to what's memorable, right? So anything that's memorable is something that I think you could sell. Make whatever it is you're doing memorable, and go to ChatGPT. Say, this is what I make. I'd like to try to come up with a list of different ways to actually make this product I sell more memorable so that I can stand out amongst, if there's competition. If you don't have any competition, that's great. Let's
Yeah.
go back to those pretzels you were talking about, those people that were selling those pretzels at one of those events. Still
Yeah, it
stands
was
out to you to this
a
day.
couple, it still stands out to me because if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I think that would be the route that I would go. They had these massive pretzels, which I assume they purchased. They're just big sticks, probably
Sticks,
six
the
inch
crunchy
long
kind of pretzel.
sticks. Yeah, the crunchy kind of pretzels. And, they're probably an inch, in diameter or something. And they just dipped the end of them all the way to where, your hand didn't have to go. They dip the end of it in different chocolate, caramel, whatever white chocolate. I can't even remember all the different flavors they had. And then they would take it and dip it in different, like chopped nuts or the sprinkles or different chopped up candies. Like, they had the cookies and cream one with the Oreos.
Mm.
So, and I mean, those things were so good. They were just pretzels that were hand dipped, and then they just covered it with
This
whatever.
whole
And
sweet and salty thing is so
oh
delicious all the
Lord,
time
they
too.
were
And
so
crunchy.
good. They gave me like they were next to me at a Christmas market, and of course, a certain number of them break in transit. So they were giving me little samples of their little broken ones. And that's what they would do is they sampled the broken ones to the public, and that's how they rigged these people in. And then and they sold them one by one. So you could buy one or you could buy six or 12 or whatever for a cheaper price. And they put them in the little cellophane bags and off they went. And they were right next to me, and I was sampling soup. So, like, we both, even though they don't necessarily complement each other like together, but the fact that there were two food items that were sampled, in the same area, we were both really busy. I felt
Yeah.
kind of bad for the rest of the people around us, but it
Not me.
that is just to
Too
me
bad for
like
them.
that. I keep going back to that because Patty keeps saying, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I
Yeah.
just say, that is one of, and I've been to a ton of markets, people. I mean, I have seen so much stuff. And the key to what you do is being different. You could do your sourdough, you could do your cupcakes, but you better be doing it way better and or way different than it doesn't even have to be better necessarily when I say decorating, it just needs to be different than what
Even
everyone
your
else is doing.
packaging, right? Your
Cookies.
packaging.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't suggest I will say that there are so many sourdough people that came out of COVID, and most shows will tell you right off the top, they'll tell you what they
They
don't
have
want.
enough. Yeah.
They have too many of the sourdoughs and the cupcakes and stuff. But again, if you do it differently, you can still submit, come up with some different items like the pretzel item mixed with the cupcakes or something. If you have those different things, they'll still let you slide in and still let you do the cookies or the cupcakes or whatever it is that you really like to do. But if you have a different item, that's what you slide in as the main item for
Right.
your thing. I hope
Well,
that
and
makes
another,
sense.
yeah, and
If I'm a
another thing
little
I would
fuzzy.
suggest, like especially for like the charcuterie board people, is that if you aren't a pro at decorating cupcakes or making cookies, hook up with one of your
Somebody.
local people, and you can refer each other business. So now you're making like a, and we've done previous ones where we showed the gift boxes that I had for the charcuterie that I thought would be great for gifts to give for real estate agents and stuff like that. But inside of there was like half charcuterie and half dessert, and it was cupcakes
Yeah.
or whatever it is you want to provide. So it could be those pretzels, it could be really
Yeah.
anything. Don't
Yeah.
mini donuts. For those of you who didn't know, used to have a mini donut business 100 years ago, and so anything like that, and just I think it would knock it out of the park because it's so different, and now they're getting a little bit of taste of everything, and you can make them out of those
Hmm.
bento boxes or whatever. But yeah, make them stand out. Don't make them look like everybody else's, and it just takes just a little bit of creativity, or just like I said, throw it into Chat GPT right now for AI and say, I sell this, how can I soup this up and make it more stand outish and
Yeah.
signature to
Yeah.
me, so that and then make sure that you, when you do these things, take pictures of them, make sure that you get them on your website so people know what you have that's different, that they'll go there and go, when they're going to all the charcuterie sites in town, or they're going to all the bread makers in town, and they come across yours, they're gonna, what, look at that,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think that's really key. Well, we're going to keep this one short today. I have to go to the store, so I'm going to get out of here before the traffic gets bad. So
I
that's
probably have to go sneeze and blow my nose again for the millionth time.
nice.
I'm holding it all in.
Yummy, yummy, good.
I know.
All right. Well, take care, sister. And everyone out
Yeah.
there, if you guys need anything, get a hold of us here. All of our information and our free and paid resources are there in the notes down below. Make sure you join our Facebook group. Just go to Charcuterie and Cottage Food Success Facebook group. You're welcome to come in for free. We'd love to have you in
Hmm.
here. And we do have, I hope, on the schedule a special guest. We're going to have, hopefully, we're going to record Friday at 10 a.m. our time, Andrew. I just letting you know because I forgot to tell you. But we're still on hold. We all have kids. We're trying to juggle around grandkids and all that. So
Yeah.
we work around all our schedules so that we can be here for you. And we hope that you enjoy what we're providing you. And just give us ideas of stuff you want us to talk about because we got all kinds. We got all kinds
Yeah.
of experience we definitely can help you with. So let us know. Give us comments. All right. All right, friends and neighbors and sister. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.